2022 was the year I was finally able to attack some of my backlog games. To start off this list, I'm going to be putting in my honorable mentions. Number 2 on my honorable mentions would be Elden Ring Seamless Co-op. I can say that the hype surrounding Elden Ring was not exaggerated. Being able to play Souls games with the homies led to some of the funniest shenanigans, because that stuff never works. But it was fun. The only reason it did not make the actual list is because I wanted to play the game solo sometime this year, maybe next year, we'll see. First honorable mention would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Not really a fan of beat 'em ups. Didn't really care when we played Streets of Rage the other year. But TMNT playing, being able to play with what was it, six of my friends in a beat 'em up. You're just having fun, chilling on the couch. Not really a couch because no one actually goes out anymore. It was fun, and I like those type of games. Start off this list at number 10. We have Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. I was happy that this was my first Souls-like game. Being the weeaboo that I am, it was fun wielding the power of God and anime on my side. This game having a fun parry system and cool skills really made me enjoy my time playing it. The boss fight weren't as obnoxious as other games, and death not being as punishing as other games kept me interested. I'm gonna give this game an overall score of 6 out of 10. Next up at number 9, I am putting Doom Eternal. This game was a pleasant surprise. Never really cared for the Doom franchise, but this game stood out due to just being able to relax and mindlessly shoot demons from the pits of hell. Soundtrack also had a good vibe to shooting demons too. Most games like this usually ruin themselves by making you fight Bullet Sponge number 742 as a boss fight and thinking that's what people want. While Doom does have the boss fights with bigger health bars than normal, it's never anything unmanageable. Especially since they give you the big fucking gun and the crucible, two weapons with limited ammo that is just your I don't want to deal with this button. Overall, I'm gonna give this game 6 out of 10 as well. For number 8, it's the first RPG I started with this year. Ruin King, a League of Legends story. Once again, Riot Games is putting their League of Legends money to good use, making a game that I like that is not accessible as toxicity. It's turn-based combat with some of the characters I actually do care about from the League of Legends franchise. Not really much of a grind like other RPGs, and it's pretty much straightforward. You go from A to B. Playing this game, I have faith in Riot that their future games like the MMO and the fighting game are in good hands. Gonna give this game a score of 6 out of 10 as well. Speaking of accessible toxicity, we have the 7th game on our list, Valor. I have a love-and-hate relationship with this game. Playing games with teammates that by the end of the match I am convinced they are playing with no sound, their monitor turned off, and their mouse and keyboard unplugged. But the highs of Valorant gives me an adrenaline rush like no other game can. Making comebacks from a 10 round deficit, or clutching a round 1v4 saving the game by forcing us into overtime. Every now and then there'll even be those funny lobbies where everyone is goofing off talking about random nonsense. Like if you drop soap on the floor, is the floor clean or the soap dirty? These are the moments that will probably always bring me back to this game. P.S. Paul promised to start being my duo, but never booted up the game. I'm gonna give Valorant the score of a 7 out of 10. Moving on to number 6, we have the GOAT, that is Destiny 2. Another year, another expansion, and this game is still fun to me. Towards the later half of 2022, I started to get back into the grind of the game to prepare for the new expansion. Finally joined the clan, completed the raids I never got around to doing, and started to hunt for triumphs, which are titles you can put under your name just to flex to others. Something about using space magic to combat aliens across the solar system with way out there lore that will always appeal to me. One week you're trying to stop an alien cult from erasing you from the timeline, and then the next week you're helping Space Grandma deliver cookies across the universe while getting into snowball fights with your enemies. This franchise has been going strong for 8 years, and I hope it continues to grow, giving this game a score of 8 out of 10. For this half of the list, there will be minor spoilers for these games. If you don't want to be spoiled, like just click off or mute or something. I don't know. You'll figure it out. Moving on to number 5, we have Sonic Frontiers. He's here and he's taking the number 5 spot. Who would have thought? Me, they put a Sonic game on his Game of the Year list. Not me. But in all seriousness, Sonic Frontiers was a fun game to play. Came in with no expectation and was surprised to find the game I truly liked playing. Maybe it had to do with the fact that it was more action than platformer. It was fun running around as Sonic and fighting enemies with discount Devil May Cry combat. But the standout best part of this game being the Super Sonic fights. You get the 7th Chaos Emerald on the first island and you go Super Sonic for the first time. It leaves you with the biggest smirk on your face because you know you're about to fuck some shit up. Fighting Wyvern on some Dragon Ball Z shit, you're both flying through the sky, reflecting and dodging missiles. Then you get to Night with the spinning shield of doom that you had to ride on the top back to him. Or when you're fighting Supreme and he pulls the sniper rifle and you're fucking reflecting it. Bringing these fights up to an 11 is the fucking music. How it's literally just Sonic telling the bosses what's gonna happen. Telling Gigento that he's undefeatable. Telling Wyvern that he'll break through all his attacks. Telling Knight that he's been through this song and dance before and he will win again and again and again. The only real problem I had with this game would be the quote-unquote true ending boss, which was just a letdown from the other boss fights. But in the end, I'm glad with what the Sonic team is doing and hope they continue to go in this direction. Giving this game a score of 8 out of 10. Number 4, we have Final Fantasy XIV. I know. Final Fantasy XIV didn't make the top 3. Coming off the high of Endwalker, not much really happened in the game this year. Yeah, couple of patches, some new Alliance raid, new raid series. Didn't really care about the raids. The reason I put 14 at number 4 is because this game is right there next to Destiny for me. Game I'll never put down anytime soon. This is the only game where I'll boot up to do something and then end up spending 40 minutes taking pictures and then turning it off just because it's fun. I love 14 and it will always be my go-to game to just chill. Also, shout out to Soaking because he doesn't miss with this goddamn soundtrack. Even at the low point in the game, he doesn't slack with his music. Can't wait to put this game on my list next year, giving this game a 8 out of 10. Now moving on to top 3. Number 3, we have Monster Hunter Rise. Everyone put this on their list and I know why. It's a great game. First introduction, even though my first introduction to Monster Hunter was Worlds, it bored the ever-living shit out of me. I did not think it was possible for them to fuck up the concept of fighting giant monster with homies, but they did. Anyways, I'm glad that my second try into this franchise got it right with Rise. Not much hand-holding when it comes to letting you play the game, allowing you just to pick a monster and fight them. Monster fights aren't an hour long anymore. It's the only multiplayer game that everyone played this year. I'll never forget the moments we had in this game, goofing off some of the classics of the group every time we play. Like Paul having the aggro of every monster, the watch this into immediate failure, or anytime Rajang is on the map. Rise is a nice game I find myself coming back to, either by myself or with friends, and I love when I'm able to do that in a game. Can't wait to see what new monsters come out in the future title updates. Giving this game a 9 out of 10. For number 2, and runner-up for Game of the Year, was Persona 4 Golden. This being my first entry into the Persona series, I loved it. Great music, compelling story, and great gameplay. I don't want to get into why I like the story because of major spoilers. It was like, at the end, it felt like playing it through an anime. It was fun to watch these group of characters go through their own stories and grow as people. Now that I'm writing this, it's hard to put into words why this game was great to me. It's nice every once in a while to play these story-driven games because you could tell the people who made these took the time and effort into writing these stories. Going to give Persona 5 a chance sometime in the future and hope it turns out as well as before it did. Gonna give this game a 10 out of 10. And what you all been waiting for, even though my list kind of ruined it, I'm gonna throw a curveball here because my game of the year was Rogue Company. Game of the year, best game ever made. Loved it from beginning to end. For real this time, number one game was Devil May Cry 5. The best action game I have ever played. Thinking back, the first time I was introduced to the series was PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. First time I saw Dante, I was like, oh, he looks pretty cool. And then proceeded to not actually care about him because fucking PlayStation All-Stars sucked. Fast forward to the beginning of this year when I finally decided to play the game, and my god, why did I wait so long? This game has a combat system so good that I legit have not seen anyone play any of the characters the same way. Also, the way the game teaches you how to play the game by first starting you off as Nero, just to like baby you a little bit, and then they throw Dante at you. Playing Wacky Wahoo Pizza Man with so many buttons. Can't even sit here and describe how to play Dante. You just have to figure it out. But goddamn, when you find your method, you feel and play like the coolest motherfucker around. And that's because you are. Don't even get me started on Mr. Motivation over there, Virgil. Even though he has less buttons than Dante, it doesn't mean he has less combo potential. Playing Virgil's fucking power trip. Using his big moves like Judgment Con N, Deep Stinger, or Hell on Earth feels like you're in a cutscene, but it's just moves you can just do. But I'm gonna stop myself here, because I could sit here and talk about DMC5 for the rest of the day. My only thing is, if you have not played DMC5, go play it. You will never regret it. Breaking the scale, I'm gonna give this game an 11 out of 10.